Okay, let's turn to page 9 and we're going to go over the difference between a ratio and a rate. A ratio is this comparison of two numbers. A rate is a special type of ratio where you're comparing two different units of measurement. So an example would be miles per gallon. You can never convert miles into gallons because they're two different units of measurement. One measures distance, one measures capacity. You could have dollars per pound. One is in money, one is measuring weight. Okay, those are two different units of measurement. Now, to write a rate, you just have to make sure that, for example, we'll look at A, 250 miles driven in 4 hours. So you put 250 miles, make sure you label the unit of measurement, in 4 hours. That is a rate. 30 minutes to answer 8 questions. That is a rate. $1.50 for 7 bananas. That is a rate. Notice I had units of measurement for all of these. Now, that is just a rate. There's also a special type of rate called a unit rate. And a unit rate always has a denominator of 1. And we can always change any rate into a unit rate by dividing the denominator by itself. So if I want this to equal 1 hour in the denominator, I have to divide this by 2. Since I'm dividing the bottom by 2, I have to divide the top by 2, and that becomes 62.5 miles. This is now a unit rate because it has 1 as a denominator. Here, if I want 1 question to be my denominator, I divide this by 4, I divide 15 by 4, so this becomes 3.75 minutes per question. So a lot of times that's how we say it in English. This is miles per hour, minutes per question. This now, if I want to change this into 1 banana, I have to divide the bottom by 7 and the top by 7, and that becomes 21 cents per banana, and that's a unit rate. Okay, so now let's turn the page and try to answer these questions. So number 2 says a car travels at 110 miles in 2 hours. Find the unit rate. Well, the rate would be 110 miles in 2 hours. Now I have to change that to a unit rate, means I want a denominator of 1, which means I have to divide the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. So I get 55 miles per hour. That's one way to write it, but you could write 55 miles over 1 hour. Now, if you traveled at that same rate, how long would it take you to go 500 miles? So if I can do 55 miles in 1 hour, I can do 500 in X hours. So I apply my cross product property rule, and I say 55x equals 500, so x equals 9.1 hours. Okay, now the next one says you can travel 110 miles on 5 gallons of gas. Find the unit rate. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and I get 22 miles over 1 gallon, which could also be read as 22 miles per gallon. Now, if gas costs $3.49 a gallon, how much would a 555-mile trip cost? Well, if I know I can go 22 miles on 1 gallon, how many gallons would it take me to go 550 miles? And that would end up being 22x equals 550, so x equals 25 gallons, but I'm not done because it said gas costs $3.49 a gallon. How much would it cost? So now I have to multiply this by 349, and I get 87.25. Okay? So now you can try in the textbook, page 18, 22 to 25, and see if you can do them.